wanted to get some more memories of yourself being around these two legends that are sadly departed. There you are, a picture that you shared with me with Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, whatever moniker you want to put on it. Still, no doubt Hall of Famers, argument for the greatest tag team attraction of all time. But I know they took a shine to yourself. Do you have any memories to share about Joe and Hawk?
Yes, I was the biggest Road Warrior mark. I mean, and it's funny because the first time I met him was in Raleigh, and it was the same day my dad put me in the match with that guy earlier that I spoke about that was a Pan American champion or whatever. But we had to give them a ride from the hotel. It was a TV taping, excuse me. And so I remember I was like, "We're going to give the Road Warriors a ride." And I'm like, pissing myself thinking like, because this is like a movie star, I'd never, and Hawk comes, he had his bandana on. I was thinking they're going to show up in their face paint and stuff, but because I'm 14 years old at the time. So we gave him the ride down there, and the picture that you have, there was actually another. I was such a Road Warrior mark. There was another one that was the Great American Bash in '86, I think.
Yeah, you can make it out on your golf shirt there.
And so the prior year, we had a yellow shirt was for 80. That was the first Great American Bash. And so I had Animal. I was 14, 15 years old. And we would ride them out on golf carts. And Dustin Rhodes had Hawk on the back of his. I had Animal, and so I'd never driven an electric golf cart. And so Dustin takes off and stops, and it's not like a car. And I went to hit the brake, but they don't just stop. And so I hit the back of the golf cart that Dustin Rhodes, Gold Dust, is driving with Hawk on the back, who I love. And he about got knocked off. And he's like, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm scared to death. But two other things that stand out. The Hawk, we had some fun times. I remember having a match with Brad Armstrong. I was Agent Steel at the time, and it was my first few months in the business, and nobody could ever have a match with Brad Armstrong and it be bad. He made the worst look great. But we were in Greenville, South Carolina, and I just remember coming back from the obviously I put Brad over. I was coming back, and Hawk standing there at the curtain, and he's like, "Kid, you're a fucking natural." And that was like the biggest compliment to this, honestly, because the dude I've worshiped just told me I'm a natural. One of the funny things, though, me and Bobby Eaton, Italian Stallion, Brad Armstrong, Hawk, Paul Ellering, we were out partying one night, doing things which it did back in the 80s, right? Which meant staying up all night. And so Paul kind of babysat Hawk to a point. He would just have a beer or two, and we're indulging in things. And I'm 18 years old, and I look around. I'm like, I got Bobby Eaton, Hawk, Italian Stallion, Paul Ellering in a hotel room. I'm like, I've made it, man. I've made it. And so we ended up later on that night. It was just me, Brad Armstrong, and Hawk, and we would stay at this Days Inn in Georgia, and had a pool in the middle of the hotel. Like all the doors, opened up. So they were outside doors, and they would open. There would be a pool outside. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, right? And Hawk's like, I'm going swimming. And I'm like, we're geeked out at this point. He opens the door. He has nothing on but his tidy whities. He jumps in the swim. This is like September or October. It's cold enough, right? So he jumps in the water at 6:30 in the morning, whatever it was. And he comes up and he does the same, and next thing, and Brad's like, shut that fucking door, man. Lock him out there. Because lights are flipping on all over the hotel room. Like, what was that we just heard? Why is there somebody? I mean, obviously, we've all heard the why are we rush at 6 o'clock in the morning in our hotel room? And yeah, he came staggering back in. We all went to bed, and it was fun. But honestly, the first to this day, you're standing in the ring and you hear, "I am Iron," and you're scared to. I'm sorry, I knew they were going to take care of me. They never hurt anybody, but you're scared to. I mean, it's like, is this real? It was surreal, and you're like, is this actually happening right now? Because that's a great to me ever say. I was in the ring and I wrestled the Road Warriors.
Well, yeah. Can you from that perspective, and I know a lot of guys talk about pops, but from a guy who was standing in the ring, hearing those first strains of Iron Man, and hearing that crowd, do you think that there ever really in the history of wrestling to this date was a louder, more uh, raucous crowd reaction to an entrance? And what was that like for you? I know you mentioned you're a little bit scared, but were you in awe of that crowd response?
Yeah, personally, my opinion is that's the biggest pop that I've experienced. And yeah, I don't know what words to put. I wasn't that scary. I don't know. It was overpowering to know that these dudes, man, and I'm standing here and somehow I don't care. They're going to fucking put a squash on me and have me beat with my partner in 10 seconds. But to even be there in that moment, I was like, oh my God, these were the, I mean, but to answer your question, me personally, I believe they even call it today the Road Warrior pop. And so, yeah, there's a reason for that. And that's what I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I caught a couple of shows back in the day for JCP NWA in the crowd as a kid, and it was something to behold. I think even more than Hogan, who I saw a couple times live in Maple Leaf Gardens against Savage, the Road Warriors had him beat there.